So Sean and I were just getting into a very deep conversation about the world, the energy right now. And we're like, hang on a minute, we've got to invite you into this conversation. Like, he's obviously, yes, he's coming on to talk about his own personal experience through Blazing You. Sean's also done Soul to Soul and other masterminds of mine. But something drew him to come and put himself into this whole new energy and program that I've created. And we were just talking about, you might have been experiencing this as well, but we were in this conversation about, you know, the whole world is going through a deep transformation, a huge up level, hearts being forced to open in a way that they haven't yet. And is that uncomfortable? Fuck yes. Are you going to feel it? Yes, on every level. And so as we begin to obviously put the spotlight on Sean's experience, Sean was just starting to, I said to Sean, imagine if the entire world got to activate this blazing frequency and to really strip away the protection around the heart. Like, imagine what the world would be like. And then Sean, you just started to speak. So I'd love to hear what you have to say about that.
Oh, yeah. On that topic, I was really just saying that, yeah, God, how great the world would be if people started operating from their heart as opposed to their mind. And I think that's like the evolution of what humanity is going through right now, is getting to that next dimension. And that comes from heart energy. And I think that heart energy and that heart chakra is what really fuels the kind of blazing energy that we were talking about so much through your newest program, Blazing You. And that's certainly where I get my power to go through and transmute old stories and really take ownership of my life and move forward.
100%. And I love this conversation because, so Sean, as I mentioned, just let us know where you're from and what you do, so we get some context.
Oh, sure. Yeah, my name is Sean. I'm from the New York area. I work in technology, but in transitioning to be a coach myself, because this is the kind of conversations that really light me up. And I feel like a deep calling to do it. And so I'm full gear starting to build up a business, but in the short term, still working in tech.
Yeah, just blending as you merge into full throttle coach. Love it. And Sean, this is so great for you to hear right now. You know, when he came to me, was really, he's so bright, so in his head though, very logical, cerebral. Now, that is a typical place for us to hang out, especially when we have hearts that feel deeply. We just close this off and we live from here because it's safer. And it's often for those of us that feel the deepest, I'm just saying this again, that are the ones that actually have the most to share and the most capacity to love. And that's definitely Sean. When he landed in my vortex, you know, I could see straight away on our first call, oh my God, this guy is all heart. But it's a journey, it's a process, which why I love Sean has come back for more, you know, more of this activation, because it doesn't just get done, you know, in Soul to Soul in 8 weeks. It's an evolution. You know, I'm constantly getting coached and mentored and wanting to rise into the biggest version of who I am. Like, we're all a work in progress. And to get support is the most powerful thing we can possibly give ourselves, especially in these times. You only have to look at Oprah, who had a vision, what she had to journey through as an African-American, already on the back foot in this world, right? She shouldn't be, but she was, who just had that vision, got the support, and it takes that village to look at where she is now. She was a person just like you, just like Sean, just like me, that went, no, that's where I want to be. She did not do that alone. And greatness is born when we give ourselves the permission to do whatever it's going to take to shift out of these decades of conditioning that have a really, really tight grip. And that's what's governing our belief systems, all this conditioning that isn't even ours. It gets passed to us from generations that walk before us. And what I love about you, Sean, is it's like you're making that definitive, you know, new commitment to self, that new vow that this conditioning stops right here with me. So any relationship you get into, whether you choose to have children, whoever you're going to be within this world, it's like you're not going to be on autopilot, operating out of just this robotic version of the lack story that love was for you prior to us coming together. Like, you're now in this whole new reality, this whole new vortex. And I can tell you right now, as someone that's witnessed your journey, there is so much more of you and your essence available. Like, it's palpable. And I can't wait for, for those of you now to experience Sean's beautiful energy and presence so you can really see what's possible for you as well. So yeah, just celebrating where you are, really celebrating that you didn't just stop after Soul to Soul. You're like, no, what else? How else can I deepen? How else can I amplify what I've already started to carve out as this new path? So I am going to put it over to you to just take up space, share what you got from this recent experience with the blazing energy and what's really opened up for you, and anything you want to share as well that was uncomfortable as well, because that's really important.
Sure. Yeah. I think maybe what might be beneficial for anybody listening is if I talk about my journey a little bit more in depth. I was exactly where you said. I was in this sort of robotic life where I was just moving and, day by day, just going in a direction that I think I was told to go down, and never really stopping to check in with myself to say, is this the life that I want? And I had this deep knowing that I was very much on the wrong path, and it was showing up in all aspects of my life. And that's the time when I said, let's get to work. I've read the books, but I wanted like a mentor. I wanted a coach. And our history, Lucy, I just was gravitating right to you. I think in certain ways, the reverse of that relationship was happening too. And so we came together, and through our experience, to your point, I was so in my head and so logical and cerebral about everything that when I started my journey going through Soul to Soul and some of the other things, I was taking it as, let's start dismantling this way of being brick by brick.
Yeah.
Now we've done that, and now I've sort of entered into a new reality where I'm loving the new life that I built. But then I also noticed there's more, right? There's more walls that and so instead of taking these new walls brick by brick like I did the old one, I now feel empowered to just grab that sledgehammer and go running right after that wall and just smashing it down, because now I have the tools to be able to do so.
I love that.
So it's been a great journey. It feels as though I have not it feels, it is that I have control over my life now and my own destiny. And nothing feels better than that. It's juicy and it's life-giving. I feel more alive than I had in many, many years.
Oh my goodness. I'm just going to shut the door. Hashtag kids. This is literally liquid gold when, you find a mentor that's right for you, that really resonates. You're going to feel when that's right? It's not something you just look at the website even. It's like you just feel a resonance. And when you're feeling that, it's about, honestly, like not sitting around in their space for years and years, observing. It's about just take that action and go for it, because that's the difference between why you are where you're at right now versus had you just sat in my free community for 2 years, just, reading the odd post and feeling better for just a second. You came at me. We weren't even accepting men at the time. I felt you just like you felt me. And I just got the download of, I have to work with this man. And I haven't worked with men yet. I've always wanted to, but I was like, and that was it. And Sean jumped straight in. It was kismet. It was divine timing. It was alignment. I felt like I knew you, and this is the biggest act of self-love in this lifetime that we can give ourselves, is the gift of ourself. To go, there is no one more important than you, right? To prioritize yourself, to learn how to do that. It's not just words like, learn how to prioritize yourself. No, taking the action to set up your life, your schedule, your habits, your ways of being, where you start to feel like the most important person in your life. Because I know when I was going through my dark night of the soul, I felt like I was coming last. When people come to work with me, they're just like, fuck, I feel like I'm not the priority. So Lucy, how do we do that? Well, it's a journey, it's a process, it's an unlearning. And then you get that blank slate that you get to then create, well, then what do I want? And that question freaks people out. Like, what do you really want? People are like, why are you asking me that? That's so uncomfortable. That's so inconvenient. I don't know. No one's ever asked me that. You need to know, if you want to rock this world and this life, where Sean said it's life-giving, where you actually feel yourself, you feel your life force, that's winning the fucking lottery. That's wealth consciousness. So back to you, Sean. Obviously, I get very lit by these conversations, but back to you. Just keep sharing with us on everything that started to open up for you with the connection to yourself. What's now become possible? What have you let go of?
So before I do, I just want to take one step back and something that you said about sitting in the the Facebook group and reading a post and feeling better for a second. And, I was like that. I was reading the books and it would make me feel better. It would make me feel like I have momentum. But in reality, I wasn't, because I didn't know how to embody it. I didn't have the tools to actually integrate that into my life. And so I was working with a coach that actually gave me the embodiment. I'll just use that word again. And that's where the power comes. That's when you change your life, is when you can figure out the knowledge and actually interweave it with like your behaviors and your thoughts. And I was missing that.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because knowledge without activation is truly, it's irrelevant. Like, I was that person going around to dinner parties asking people, what do you want to do? Like, taking the emphasis off me, so that, and putting it onto other people. But if they were to look into my world at the time, I may have known all these amazing quotes. I may have been cerebrally doing the work and watching The Secret and reading the books. I wasn't doing any of that internal work. I kept my heart at arm's length from myself and from the world. And so it wasn't until, just as what you said, that I chose to invest in myself and to have enough courage to crack open the heart and to see what was really going on. Holy shit, there was truth bomb central. And it was confronting to see how out of alignment I was, and how full of shit I was, and how much protection I had behind all these jazz hands. It was a rude awakening, but the best awakening of my life, because if I kept going down that path, just as you had kept going down that path, like depression, people were suicidal, just robotic, ending up in average relationships that you then have to get out of. And then when you bring kids into the mix, it's just fucking messy and it's unnecessary. And listen, if you're watching this, there is no judgment if you have found yourself in a relationship that didn't work out, or if you are getting out of a toxic relationship. Well done you for actually choosing to leave that. But I'm just speaking personally, that I know, had I not taken that action back then, I would be on a completely different path, and not one that I was proud of, and not one that represented the Lucy that I've been put on this planet to be, and the Sean, right, that you've been put on this planet to be, which is a king, which is with your big lion energy. And it's powerful and it's needed, not just by the world, but by you and for you, to receive your own friggin' medicine and your own love.
I know that if I continued on that path, I would have wound up in some of those examples you talked about, being depressed. I certainly know that on my deathbed, I would have looked back and said, you never really lived.
Yeah.
You lived somebody else's story, somebody else's life. You didn't live your own. And now that's exactly where I am. I'm living my own life. It feels completely different. No judgment to anybody that, I'm 41. I don't mind saying that. Where it took me, 4 decades before I could feel the way I wanted to feel and start to live a more meaningful life that I controlled. And nothing feels better.
There aren't even words to put around the quality of life. And then, because then you start to enter into, because when people come to me, or even to, if you go to someone else, you're coming in a lot of the time very baseline. Now, not everyone. With the blazing, we had people joining blazing that were already saying, I'm doing great. They've already done the work. They're like, but I know it can be better. And that was you. Like you actually came in from this energy going, hey, I'm here, but what's up there? But people, when they came into my Soul to Soul program, were coming from a very low energetic base, right? Low self-worth, low confidence, even though they were rocking careers, had PhDs, looking good. Then they go up the vibrational elevator and start to come up to here, right? Which is where Sean came in. Very solid. You can't attract in the bottom feeders and the shitty opportunities when you're down here. You're just not on the same vibrational level anymore, which is really exciting. But then when you come up here, you're like, oh, so now I get to receive people that want to show up for me. Oh, I get to receive more money. I get to receive compliments. I get to receive my own love. Yeah. And then there's still more levels and still more levels and still more levels. So, it's a case of there's never a right time to start. It is always the right time. It doesn't matter if you're 41, if you're 51, if you're 21, to go, oh my God, I want more for myself. I want to feel happy. I want to feel connected. I want to feel peace. I want to love myself, because I used to love myself conditionally. I know when you came to me, it was definitely conditional. I love myself more when I pay off my debt. when I become someone, when I write that book, when I have a relationship. I used to genuinely feel back in my 30s, when I get that relationship, I'll be more worthy. Like when I start getting invitations, Lucy +1, then I'll be more part of my game. I felt like I was missing a shoe energetically. No. Back from where I was operating out of, thank God I didn't attract in that relationship, because that was me looking for the outside to make me feel better instead of going inside out. And that's what this work is. It's not about the soulmate relationship. It's about the royal relationship with ourselves, so that we become the beacon of light that we're so in awe of, so in love with, and we're so full of our own love that is unconditional, that can't help but attract in healthy opportunities, healthy relationships. You can't help but attract that in, because that's who you've become. That's what you're vibrating with. And this is an energetic universe, and that's quantum physics. So Sean, there's no way that you would allow in some toxic relationship right now. You just wouldn't be available for it.
You're absolutely right, because I know myself and I sort of demand
yes,
the type of feelings I want to feel and the type of energy I want to attract in. And you're absolutely right. And I had the same conversation, same hand gesture, all that you just did. And yes, I'm definitely attracting from a completely different vibrational state that I didn't know was possible for me. And now there's like excitement behind it. It's like, look what I can attract. And like, let's just keep going, because I want to attract more and better and more instantaneously. And it's just it's been fun. It's like dancing with sort of the universe and with manifestation. It's a very fun experience to have.
And that fun is what people are afraid of. We're like, if someone says, how are you? Oh, how often do you hear people say, everything's amazing, I'm having so much fun? How often do you have people say that? It's like, people are afraid to have fun, because it's like, but if I let myself do that, then the shoe's going to drop and that's not safe. So I'd rather just be a little bit guarded. I'd rather hold a little bit back, because it's like we're on guard to see when things are going to start falling apart, instead of entering truly into that whole new world of, hang on a minute, my new belief is the better it gets, the better it gets. And life actually is here to hold me and to flow through me and to work out for me. And it's about letting life in instead of keeping life and ourselves at arm's length. And that is how most of the planet have been operating. I know I sure was, and it didn't feel good. There's a lot of resistance. I was having earaches, throat aches, headaches, stomach aches, every ache, because of the amount of resistance that I kept nurturing. And you know why? Because I liked it that way, because it felt safer to live in that paradigm and reality, being on alert, being in fight or flight, because I knew it so well.
I couldn't agree more. And it was when I started to say yes to life a little bit more, there's just physically, you're absolutely right the way you describe it. Like, I just physically felt better in my body. I started losing weight because of it and things like that. It was like in a healthy way.
Without trying.
Fat. Yeah, without trying, exactly.
Because the emotional energy you started to dissolve and release, because we do carry, and we're just energy. And if we've got all this energy that we're holding, or resistance or resentment or anger, or actually turning on ourselves and blocking ourselves from our own love, it's when we overeat. It's when we're reaching for that comfort from outside of us. And so many people lose weight during Soul to Soul and not even focused on it, not even trying, because it's like the whole body takes an exhale, because you feel seen. You feel like you're valuing yourself and you're putting your energy into yourself. And that is so healing and powerful, to say you're basically giving yourself a hug saying, you matter and I'm going to take care of you. And we've been wanting that from our parents. We've been wanting that from the outside world. No one can give to us what we can give to ourselves.
And I learned how to do that through working with you, through Soul to Soul, through Blazing You, through the mastermind programs that we've done together. I think you're very powerful in that space, Lucy, as that type of coach that holds somebody accountable, holds that space for us to step into. Because I think that's what's needed so much, is it's within us to do it. But sometimes we just need someone to hold that container for us. And that's where you really shine, is to hold that space, believing in the people that you're mentoring and coaching, and just holding it and encouraging us to step into it. And once we do, don't we just light up and shine? And
Oh
we
my
all
God.
walk away feeling the same way, just in this whole new elevation that we were struggling to find on our own.
Listen, it's why ancient tribes and civilization, you hear it takes a village to raise a baby. It takes a village to also raise a human, you know, for us to have things mirrored back to us that, you know, if we're a bit lower down the frequency scale, of course we need someone to hold us to our highest up here, that because we've got a bit of that brain fog, or we've been so in our limitations, we just haven't been able to see it. So having someone else who's just a bit further down the path, who's more of a clearing, right? Yes, yes, and yes. That's where, you know, I always say I could have bought 3 houses with what I've invested personally in myself. And that's not an exaggeration. Like, it's a lot. And I have reverence for it. And I'm grateful for it, because I love myself so much more with having that elevation of someone being able to hold me even higher than what I can do. And that's what we're here for, to experience ourselves. We do keep thinking it's outside of ourselves. It's when we buy that house, or when we have that soulmate, and it's none of those things. When we get $1 million, you're not going to feel any. When we get an Oscar, I've seen people hold an Oscar, and you're like, and I've seen people hold it with a lot of joy, definitely too, who've got a lot of support around them. But I've seen people hold it where it's like, and I've heard them talk about it, saying, I got the Oscar and it didn't change how I felt about myself. It didn't change my world. I was working for so many years to get this freaking piece of gold in my hand, and it's not an instant weapon to change you. It's an inside job. And I was so present to that, even when I was in my acting career. I was like, I'm not just going to, you know, because I wanted to get an Oscar so I could use it as a microphone. But it's like, if I'm not enjoying the unfolding and the journey along the way to that Oscar, just like if I'm not enjoying these moments with you and in my business and truly enjoying what I'm doing, and I'm just doing it for the money, I mean, the money is insignificant if you're not enjoying the moments. It just is. And you see that time and time again of people that, you know, just aren't even enjoying their wealth. And that's not wealth consciousness. Wealth consciousness, which is what we started to really dive into in Blazing You and in this whole new blazing frequency, it is about bringing in this whole new line of wealth consciousness to the planet, to as many humans as I can activate, because it is a consciousness. It's not just, when we hear wealth, money. It's what Sean said before. I'm just having so much fun. I'm like playing with the universe. It's knowing how powerful you are, and that you are an instant manifester, and that anything you think you can have, activating that knowing, that way of being, that consciousness, is going to lead you to wealth as an inevitable outcome, because you're starting to vibrate with possibilities. You're starting to co-create with the universe. You're starting to see yourself and feel yourself as the limitless soul and energy being that you are. And then you start to enter into the quantum realm, the quantum, you know, physics reality, where you think it, you have it. You think it, you have it. Like, it's just instant. It's instant. It's done. It's done. It's done. And it is a mindset that needs to be anchored in. And that's what, you know, I was doing in Blazing You, is just opening up your vortex, helping you open up and experiencing deeper layers of your heart that may have been off limits because it felt too vulnerable and raw. It's like, no, no, no. We need our heart involved, our unconditional love pouring into ourselves, which links us into this portal of wealth consciousness that is unique to each of us. It's going to mean something different to Sean than it is for me, right? And so it's just this activation in this blazing frequency that I am loving myself. It's personally up-leveling me like a mother freaker right now. It's like whatever I come in, whatever medicine I use to say, whoa, let me teach on that, I then have to also journey through my own, you know, letting go of things that aren't serving me as I'm teaching. And that's the beauty of teaching and coaching people that are ready to rise, because I'm not just sitting here like invincible, like I'm going through it with you as well.
You know, one thing that you just talked about with almost instant manifestations, I can even attest to that, particularly when we were going through Blazing You. There's been numerous occasions where it's happened instantaneously, and that becomes so fun when that happens. And one of the things, one of the realizations that I came to through Blazing You was, I really want to surround myself with more people like me, which is an interesting thing that there's a version of me from years ago that probably never would have said that, because I didn't have the kind of self-love that I do now.
Yeah.
And knowing myself and how I treat others in relationships, I want that for myself. I want that reciprocation. And so the moment I thought that, the moment I had that realization, I was like, I want more people like me in my life. I got a text from a friend who sent me a text, the kind of text I would have sent to somebody else. And I don't receive those very often, or at least at the time. Now they're pouring in. And I was like, this is it. This is the universe playing with me, because now I understand what I want and I have that clarity. And I was very specific, and I'm not going to tolerate anything less. And the
Yes.
moment I made that declaration, the universe showed up and said, we got you. Here's a text to prove we're on board and we're going to
How
manifest.
quickly we're working.
Yeah. And it was nearly instantaneous, and it was just fun to experience that. And it also then elevates me as well to say, like, I got this. Let's go more. Let's go deeper. I can really lean into that trust that I have in the universe, that we're working together, we're co-creating together. And there's something really powerful about that.
Oh my God, so many things in what you just said. Actually, the universe is literally like a mobile phone. So the fact that you you did the work to clear away the debris that was clouding your vision of what you wanted, right? You're doing the work, amplifying your vibration, your frequency, your mindset, like your energy levels, right? Vibrating higher, getting clarity. Clarity is wealth. Then you got your request, you're like, okay, universe, show me. And the universe literally goes bing, instant feedback, because the universe does work instantly. But you were also, you're expecting that too, because now you're operating out of this certainty where it's like, hey, universe, show me. And at the moment, energetically, the whole planet is going through enormous upheaval and change, and it's very uncomfortable as we merge through a whole new cocoon to come out as the butterfly, where we get to spread full wingspan. It is actually being forced on us if we're not going to choose that path. You know, and there's a lot of sickness on the planet, which is having people journey through these really, really uncomfortable dark nights of the soul, you know, and I've just been through it with my whole family, and I'm always doing the work, and it was bloody uncomfortable, but just clearing, surrendering, you know, more heart expansion for myself, which is why Blazing Love is coming through at this moment. It wasn't even on the table when I started Blazing You. It was so obvious during Blazing You, this whole talk about unconditional love, that was needed to just honestly be like the main program, coupled with the wealth consciousness, which I'll be starting on August 8th, Lionsgate Portal, which I'll also be leading with my husband. So there's that masculine, feminine energy just to hold you really beautifully, to ask us anything, to really have us be vulnerable and show you, you know, what's possible, but also what's real. Like, we're not there to be like, hey, have us as the pin-up couple. No. We're going to invite you into our world to share more of our journey, the parts that you want to know, that's going to feel really healing. Because when you see yourself in other people, it's because it's inside of you as well. You know, and people often have said to us, oh, I love your relationship, I don't really have many role models. And I was like, listen, great that you love it. Like, come hang out with us, come and start to embody and immerse yourself in that frequency that we're emitting, so that you've got that reference, and you'll already start anchoring in your own version of that. So this unconditional love conversation, this instant manifestation conversation, which is quantum, it's here for you. If you're ready right now to say, no, I don't want to be a spectator observing all these programs. I want to be like Sean, like I want what he has, or I want what Lucy has, or I just want to be the fullest blazing version of myself. This is an absolute no-brainer for you to come into our golden vortex. Let us hold you, let us support you, let us see you, because feeling seen and truly being understood and being then guided to your greatness, like just the art and act of being seen, it is so profoundly healing. I know for me on my journey when I started, I know Sean, you'll agree, when I felt seen for the first time, I mean, tears. It's like when people see you at a soul level, it's just, there are no words to put around that. It is such a quick up level you get, because once you actually feel that support in your corner, that's when you're on the fast trajectory onto a whole new reality. Feeling seen.
Yeah, I agree with that, Lucy, 100%. I mean, this being witnessed in that raw, vulnerable, there's nothing more powerful than that. And you know, something you had said, if you want to be like Sean or be like Lucy, I would just, you know, encourage anybody that's listening to it, that it's already there for you. All you need to do is step into it. And, you know, in a program like Blazing Heart and Blazing You, it's just holding that container so that that individual can step into it. It's right there waiting for you to claim it.
That's it. And it's not like I don't do the work to you, you know, and it gets uncomfortable. You know, I'll hold you, or a nun will hold you in a place where it starts to get uncomfortable, where potentially you want to run, but it's because you chose to stay. You might feel triggered. You might go, oh, I don't want to deal with this right now. But just by the act of knowing you're being held really safely from such love from us, the only reason we're going to hold you so securely is because we know where you can go. We can see it. That's our superpower. And it's not about, like I said, when you be like Sean, be like me. You want to be like you, but you're seeing role models. You're seeing what's possible via us. And we have that container that you'll feel right away. And, you know, if you're not ready to really do the work, this is not for you. If you're not ready to take the feedback and the coaching, do not enter my vortex, don't touch it. We're only calling in people that are ready to go supersonic, ready to go full wingspan, ready to do whatever it's going to take, and ready to discover who you were born to be and to experience your own magic, your own heart, your own vulnerability, your own softness, because it's the softness inside of you that is actually your superpower. You know, when I'm in my heart, when I'm in my softness, even though I am so powerful, like it's the yin and the yang, you know, being soft is powerful. Being vulnerable is powerful. And there are moments where I'm also fierce because it calls for that. Yeah. But there are many shades of what power looks like. And it's deeply soft and raw and vulnerable and palpable. And the other end of the spectrum is it's like a lion that's fierce and holding boundaries and calling it tight. And it's a spectrum, and we just get to flow on that spectrum of whatever those moments or those situations are actually calling from us and needing in that moment. And it's just knowing, it's developing your own new spectrum that's from a place of power, right? So the softness all the way through to the fierceness versus the lack and the scarcity, the poverty consciousness through to control. They're two different spectrums and they're delicious, but it's like creating a whole new world for yourself that, as Sean said, that you're in charge of, where you get to call the shots. You're the architect that gets to design how you want your life to be. And that's about being awake, being conscious and going, hey, universe, like fucking bring it. I'm blazing. We're not saying, hey, come in and be lukewarm. No. You want to step into my vortex? You better be ready to fucking blaze, because that's what's needed on the planet right now. Every one of us in our power, every one of us in our royalty, every one of us with our heart open and asking for what we want. And better yet, expecting that we're going to get it. Imagine the world, the planet, with everyone awake and alive and living from that consciousness, blazing love. I'm just here for it. I'm totally here for it. And this threads all the way through to your sexuality, to orgasms, to, you know, receiving intimacy and making noise and taking up space versus sort of like the old wounded conditioning of, you know, I don't want to be too much, or I don't know if I should show my boobs. They're a bit, you know, they drop a bit, or I don't know if blah, blah, blah. I don't know if I can perform. Like, who gives a fuck how you show up? Maybe you go to have sex and that day, for whatever reason, it just doesn't happen. So you're going to, great, let's just hug instead. Like, no judgment, and just being okay in those moments instead of going, oh, I couldn't perform, or blah, blah, blah. I wonder if he'll still like me, or if she'll still like me. It's like, fuck off. I am worthy and lovable whether I perform or not. Whether I, you know, that's what the unconditional love is for us. It's not what we're doing. It's just us loving ourselves in the great moments and in the moments that don't go the way that we think that they're going to go. It's all of it. And when we've got our own back, when we really hold ourselves, you're going to get people wanting to do the same for you. And it's beautiful. So, yeah, Sean, is there anything else you want to say to, you know, about this blazing frequency, or just anything that you want to share for people that are like, you know what, yeah, I'm feeling this, like, come at me. Yes, I want to blaze.
Yeah, I guess I would just simply say, anybody that's feeling it and has that yes inside them, sign up. It's time. It's time for you to claim your life and the it's going. I love your analogy, Lucy, of being the architect and the designer. And it's so true. Those words are very fitting for at least my experience of it. Like I said before, I was going down a path that didn't feel like mine. Great, let's take a time out. Let's check in with ourselves. Let's actually design what we want. And when we have that vision, and we're designing that, that's when just being blazing is even easier, right? Because it's like, oh, I've got this. Now I know exactly where to go because I created this. This is what I actually want. And sometimes it feels a little easier said than done. But it's not necessarily hard, but it does require you to show up. It requires you to commit to the work and holding yourself accountable, and also being very honest with yourself, the good, the bad, and ugly, and all. It's about really knowing who you are. That's how you get to love yourself. That's how you get into your blazing identity. And you had also said, I'll keep with your boob analogy, right? If like one of them's not the same, that's not what people are attracted to. They're attracted to how you show up in a room. And there's nothing more magnetic than someone that loves themselves.
Oh, it's forget perfume, forget your outfits. When your energy is sparkling and radiating, you're a freaking magnet, and you're going to have to then go, hang on a minute, all this good stuff's coming at me. What's actually meant for me? And start to be discerning. It's like suddenly this is what we see so often with the work that I do is people go back on the same dating apps, because I say get offline and come in and do the work, go inside. And then, because there's nothing wrong with dating, there's nothing wrong with apps. People make the apps wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with the place you're living at. There's nothing wrong with your age. There's nothing wrong with your weight. None of that is the reason. None of those are the reasons why you're single. People go back online once they've gone in line and attracting a completely different caliber of person. And it's like, what? Yeah, because you expected greatness. You changed your profile so it was more authentic. And suddenly, yes, what happens? You start to have an abundance of people that are like, bing, 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 who's this person? And then you've got a good problem, which is, well, I just want one. So let me sift through and see what feels right. And I will also just say what you shared before, for as long as we're going to actually crack the code on what it is that we do want, it will be uncomfortable, because then you're going to suddenly have coming up in your face all the things that haven't been in alignment and all the decisions and choices you've made that weren't actually serving your highest path and timeline. And so it's not being discouraged along the way when these things come up ready to be cleared and dealt with, and even past grief that hasn't been dealt with, resentment, parts and aspects of ourselves that have just been begging to be healed, right, will come up on this journey. I'm not going to say it's all just rainbows and unicorns. It's going to be uncomfortable, because that's what growth is. It's deeply inconvenient, uncomfortable, and confronting, and you want it to be. Who ever heard of teeth coming down just like easy peasy? No, that's when babies are like, ow, 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 right? It's uncomfortable, but then you get a whole new tooth. And in this case, a whole new life, a whole new relationship, a whole new reality. So it's actually celebrating the discomfort and knowing that they are just growing pains. And when you get those growing pains, to go, oh, this means I've got the miracles and the beautiful opportunities in my vortex that are coming to me, like it's coming. When you're on your way to a new destination, you're going to get there. That's what this work is. So it's just using those uncomfortable moments as cues to go, you're on the right track, versus staying on that timeline of mediocrity and safety where, you won't be that uncomfortable because you're just doing what you've always done, and it's predictable, and it's certainly numbing, and it's not going to give you the life that you get to look back on going, I fucking rocked that. You're not going to have that. And I've got no judgment either way. You can take that mediocrity path. It's all yours. There's no good or bad, but you're watching this because you want more than that. And it's not a coincidence that you're still listening to this right now. We've gone a little bit longer because we just got lit in this conversation together. And come play, come create with us. Come, let's unleash you into the world as the most blazing version of you, with your biggest capacity to love, and watch the things that start to manifest for you. They will, once they start happening, if you look back to before you started doing this work, you're going to go, I didn't even know these things were an option. I didn't even know it was a thing. How was I not living like this, right? I think that's a wrap.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Lucy. And it's always a pleasure working with you. And like I said, blazing's the word, right? I just feel absolutely lit up and blazing. So thank you for everything.
Oh, absolute pleasure, honor. It's a gift. I love it. And I hope this has spoken to your heart. And we kick off August 8th. So big, big love to you. And thank you so much, Sean.
Thank you.